Okay, so we just went over how a microphone works. So now let's talk about tube microphones. Tube microphones are called tube microphones because they use a vacuum tube in the microphone's amplifier circuit rather than another type of transistor. Now, before I get into the tonality of tubes, I think it's worthwhile noting that there's a lot of lore behind tube microphones, which drives up their popularity, typically because tube microphones are one of the first types of microphones, and also they were used on a lot of iconic recordings from the 1930s all the way up until now. So a lot of people try to reach for them as something that's going to give them the ultimate vocal or instrument sound. Now, while I do enjoy tube microphones, I don't really subscribe to that lore. It's really important to know and understand that the microphone needs to complement whatever it is that you're trying to capture, no matter what it's made out of. But that being said, let's talk about what a tube sounds like. So tubes emphasize certain types of harmonics that people typically find pleasing. These are second order harmonics. That's not to say that third order harmonics are not accentuated, but the bulk of the harmonic action lies within second order harmonics. Second order harmonics sort of mimic the sound of a square wave. So you can think of like very thick low end and buzzy and silky top. However, the other ingredients in a microphone also play a big role on how the microphone will sound overall, even though it's made with a tube. So let's talk about the microphones that we have here today. We have an AKG C12, we have a Neumann U67, and we have the microphone that is being used in the session, a Telefunken U47. All tube microphones, all different sounds. The C12 has a very tinny top end, but not tinny in an annoying way. It's pretty distinct. So I like to use this on female vocals that is more of a pop performance. The 67 is a very, very, very popular tube mic. It's a little bit more full-bodied than a C12, and the top end is very smooth. So if you have a female or a male that's in a higher octave range, you could put them on this mic and you'll find that you won't have to EQ that top end so much. Now, different from both of these is the mic that we're using today, the U47. This is a much darker and thicker mic. So for a much more intimate performance, like something that you find in a jazz record or a moody type of recording, which we're trying to capture today, this mic is perfect. So even though they all have one of these in them, they're all pretty much very different. And speaking back to that lore thing, even though I do love tubes, there are some tube microphones that I just never use because the sound doesn't agree with me, no matter what I'm trying to make. So keep that in mind when you're looking for a tube, because they're very expensive, and the reason why they're expensive is because they're rare. We don't make tubes as much as we used to, so the price is up, and also everyone, believes in this like magical, mystical background that tubes have, and that also drives the price up. So by no means are tubes budget, and if you're looking for vintage tubes, forget it. It's going to cost a fortune. If you have the opportunity to work with one, I really suggest you try it, but by all means, you could get a great sound as long as you know what it is that you're looking for, as long as you know what type of frequency response the microphone is going to impart, and that frequency response obviously must support the performance.